Shooter Breeze topic number 1 says African stream founder explains how pan-European corporate media banned him. This came, of course, with a link. Let me share my screen with you guys. So here we are. So Ahmed Caballo is the founder of African Stream. He's talking to Shakara. I reached out to African Stream, didn't hear nothing from him, so it is what it is. What we'll do is we'll watch the video and then we'll discuss it.
But we know that when you step out and when you expose imperialism, there is a price to pay. And I think, it's clearly politically motivated. It happened just before the US elections are about to take place.
Of course.
We were already getting attacks by a lot of people in the US that said that we were hurting Kamala Harris's campaign. now, what's crazy about that is we've cussed out Donald Trump more than we've cussed out Kamala Harris. It's about even, but slightly more. Yeah. But they don't care about when we cuss out Trump. But because of the relationship with, we call them Africans in America and the Democratic Party, our coverage was seen to be more hurtful. I guess the opinion is that no one that's voting for Trump is probably following us anyway. But there are a lot of people that were voting for Kamala. So the first few, before we had the situation where we got attacked by the Secretary of State, there was a few smear pieces that came out, really poorly written smear pieces. So the first one was by NBC.
We covered that a couple of weeks ago. Just to let people know about that. Go ahead. Brilliant response, by the way. Brilliant response.
Thank you. But they said that we're spreading fake news to 40 million African Americans without a single example. And they cited a report, and in the report, the only thing that's publicly available is the summary of the report. And in the summary of the report, we're not even mentioned. And then in the summary of the report, it says, email us if you want the full report. I emailed them months ago. No reports come. No reports come. So they can smear you based on a report that you're allegedly named in, but the thing that's online doesn't even have your name. And then if you try to email them, no report comes. That was the first one. And then the second one was we said, irrespective of who gets elected into the White House, US presidents are going to continue bombing Somalia. And we named how many drone strikes each US president, from George Bush all the way to Biden. Factual, indisputable. Then Voice of America, which is US state funded, they put out a piece saying African Stream distorts US's role in. So obviously we responded to that, destroyed them. So they couldn't attack us for our reporting. So then they went with this. And as soon as Anthony Blinken said this, even though he didn't provide a single example, all of a sudden, this week, I think from Monday, a Wikipedia page is now up of African Stream. African Stream is a source of disinformation ran by all based on one person's
statement.
One person's speech where he doesn't even have
anything.
And it says I knew the game was rigged, but I had no idea that it was rigged.
That serious. That's bad.
It's
Bro,
not.
I didn't know. So this is breaking, for those who are just tuning in, right? Brother Ahmed has informed us that not only have they locked off the YouTube, the Instagram, the Facebook, and the TikTok. I'm going to come back to TikTok in a second because that's an interesting one. They've also locked off the entire Google account. So that means that African Stream no longer has access to its cloud storage facility. Yeah. So they have actually curtailed, like, that's mad. So do you have, and by the way, this is a good because I usually use physical hard drive
man.
Things,
so,
and I get it because I'm seeing the convenience more and more of having the cloud storage. But for situations like this, Anyway,
Yeah.
I won't even ask you if you got the hard drive back up in case.
No.
Case
It's a good question. We've got less than half of it backed up.
backed up.
Yeah,
So
less
it's a
than.
significant
But
loss.
more worryingly,
Yeah.
we had like some long projects that we were working on.
Yeah.
The script's gone.
Gone.
The-
Yeah.
Everything's gone. The transcriptions. We sent a sister to Mali to do a long documentary on Modiba Keita because he's not well known
Not well known. Yeah.
not well known in the Pan-African circles as he should be. And she went there to get some exclusive interviews. I think she interviewed some relatives. The whole thing is gone.
Oh,
The whole thing is gone.
days.
Yeah, I know.
So this is serious.
Yeah, that sucks. There's some cautionary tales involved in this for all of us too, by the way. You can't put all your eggs in this white man's basket, so to speak. Even myself with Shoot the Breeze, I've been working to get it off of YouTube because I know one day it's coming for me too. So it's a thing that by the way, Anthony is saying that your mic and cam are not added, so step out and come back on for me, please. I posted it in the chat. Maybe you didn't see it. Yeah, so this brother saying that they was working on the Keita documentary, and that's gone. That's lost. That's a damn shame. But that's a cautionary tale that you can't keep all this stuff in digital too. You have to have some physical copies of stuff to hold on to. In the chat, Trighabi262 kind of echoes what I just said. He says it was sad when they lost that Keita documentary. Keita was a great man, absolutely. Provide Triggers for Evolution is back with us this week, saying greetings to all. So greetings to you too, sister. Thanks for coming through. With that said, I told Anthony, come back again. Try to come back again. Because your sound is not connected. Again, should read topic number 1. African Stream Founder explains how pan-European corporate media banned him. I guess I'll have to start with Oni. I don't know if Buana's back or not, but Oni, what say you?
Yeah, like you said, it's a cautionary tale, and just a reminder that these one thing is this: one, these white boys ain't playing. These white boys are not playing. But two, what these white boys are capable of, and how they roll. Hardly anybody saw this coming. I would say that, but moreover, I think, and this is really important, I can't remember who said the quote. I think I quoted it on Twitter recently, but brother says, one of our ancestors said something like, if the enemy is not doing anything against you, it's because you're not doing anything. And, Africa's Stream was doing something, and this white boy shut them down. And it's just a big reminder that a lot of, because one thing that we're going to see, especially on, KWAZ radio, is how a lot of us are blacklisted. A lot of times we can't get the numbers up for whatever reason. We can't appear in the algorithm. I'm not saying that we can't, but it's a little bit harder than most people, right? And I mean, of course, some of it is, regarding advertising, so on and so forth, but also not regarding advertising. In the sense of, I remember I was on, I think it was Amazon had like a program where you could make digital art, and I guess like make posters and all that kind of stuff, like a program, whatever. So I applied for it and I got rejected, but it's just a big reminder that you're on another person's platform and they can do whatever they want and they can push whatever agenda they have for your people, and you just got to go along with it. The only platform that didn't censor Africa Stream, it seems like it's X or Twitter or whatever, but Twitter has its own thing going for it. You know, a lot of people didn't pick up on it, but after Elon Musk purchased it, you're getting a lot more conservative, Republican, far right, fascist material. You're getting a lot more of that in your face, and you can't get around it. And I mean, I don't know if you can block. I mean, I hear some people block Elon Musk, but I hear there's some penalties for that. But of course, on that platform too, a lot of black people are being blacklisted, notwithstanding. You know, so again, it's a and I think that the main thing that I want to take away here too is that Google, which pretends to be this neutral body or what have you, right? Google removed their access to their private accounts, remove their cloud storage. Like these white people, it's kind of like that Boondocks episode, or that joke, in black communities where these white boys just give you allowance. They allow you to use their their email services. They allow you to go on their video platforms. They allow you to get electricity in your house and clean water. And when they stop doing that, when you push against them, they're going to push back hard and strong. So you got to be ready. And I think that's one of the reasons why, I really appreciate this repatriation, because I don't get allowance from white folk. You know what I mean? I don't get allowance from white folk. Now, I'm not going to say that everything is perfect. No, I mean, I got, real struggles, where black folk kind of giving me allowance. But it's a whole different ball game. It's a whole different ball game because I mean, of course, again, if I'm pushing on the government here, I might run into some problems, obviously, but not even doing that. So it is what it is. My point is, yeah, I think we as a people, we have to see that this whole allowance thing, and the biggest part about it is this: these guys are not even African Americans. They are. This guy, I don't know in particular, but I know the founder of this website was, or this platform was Kenyan, right? So these guys are not even African American. So on one hand, it says, well, what kind of legal protection would they have? But on the other hand, it's like, it shows that, if you're in Kenya, right, build up the stuff in Kenya. Build up the stuff, because America's not going to allow you to reach into America, let alone Black America. Right? America's not going to allow you to reach into America, let alone Black America. And again, it goes back to this allowance thing. If you're talking about, oh my gosh, Black Americans are so stupid, or Black Americans this, or Black Americans that, or I love Black American butts, or whatever. If you're talking that, you're allowed. And if you're talking, hey, look, let's discuss geopolitics. Let's discuss the wars. Let's discuss the situation, whatever. Then you don't get that. And that is, I think, a really fundamental distinction that we have to look into.
Appreciate that, Oli. I agree with everything you just said. I can personally tell you, yesterday, I think it was, I was on Twitter, and I'm noticing that I'm getting a lot of far right, conservative type stuff. I'm getting a lot of the FBA stuff. Like, I'm getting FBA stuff all day, and it's like, wait a minute, I don't even follow these people. These people don't follow me. Why am I seeing this all the time? But it's a part of the algorithm that Musk and them are pushing. But yeah, everything you said is absolutely correct. I think you gotta build in a Black country, man. You just can't get around it now. You just cannot get around it. These guys have too much reach. And as a side note too, we've allowed these guys to get too far ahead too. And when I say allow, I'm putting that in quotations, but we gotta try to start closing this gap a bit. These guys have too much reach, and we gotta start closing the gap. Anyway, let me welcome in our brother Black Steel this week. Black Steel, how are you?
I'm doing great, Cuckoo. How about yourself?
I'm good. Thanks for coming through.
So I don't know if anybody missed the point of this. you said, and only said, you have to build in a black country. But then you guys understand that Africa Stream is based in a black country, which is Kenya. So
Yeah, but they are white platforms though, Black Seal.
So what do you mean?
They're using Google. That's not their own. They're using the internet that this guy put up. That's not the. You know what I mean? That's more the point I was trying to make.
Okay. But I think that the overall point is that we live in a world that is dominated by white hegemony, right? And I'm sorry to say there's no place you can escape it. Whether you go to the bush of Africa, you go to hell, outer space, that there's no running away from it. We're going to have to confront it. We're going to have to organize and fight it. I think that, and everybody wants to repatriate. I think that's a personal decision, and I support that. But it's not a solution to our overall problem, which is the fact that the Europeans dominate the globe. Their words, their thoughts, their views on things are taken as fact. So the Secretary of State of the United States, Anthony Blinken, he just said, yeah, this is Kremlin propaganda with no evidence. No evidence. And then all of a sudden everything is banned. White people can say day is night, and a lot of people will believe them. And I think they saw Africa Stream as a threat because they were so vocal against imperialism, against racism, against the system that dominates the globe. And they were doing something like Oni was saying, if your enemy isn't moving against you, you're not doing anything. So apparently they were doing something. I often, Africa Stream, one of my favorite YouTube channels. I love them. And it's disappointing the fact that they are being taken off. But I don't think it's a matter so much of Black people not wanting to have their own things. I think that we really, again, to my point, we see how the power of the European dominates the world. If they're able to cut off your power, they're able to cut off your access to clean food and clean water. They are able to do that. And I think this really kind of underscores our predicament, how dire our situation is. I think as Bobby E. Wright said, he said something about slavery is when another group of people control all the institutions that sustain your life. And I think that's what we're seeing. We're seeing again that all of our life-sustaining institutions are under the dominance of another people. It doesn't have to be this way, but I think that we really underestimate just how much control they have. Like, for example, you talk about starting, an African Google or African Amazon or whatever, but these entities, these Googles and these other platforms, YouTube, were all created with money, not just from investors, but from the CIA, from government funded, from state funded by the United States government. Africans going to have to get organized. I think that we're trying to skip a few steps. Maybe we need to get organized first. Maybe we're going to have to come up with a plan. It's good to say these things, and I agree it's good to say these things, but how are we organizing? And I think that organization is lost in our communities, in our countries, and that our leaders aren't focused on changing the system. They're focused on getting this money, as much money as they possibly can, and looting the bank. Well, you have African leaders who have to go to Europe because they don't have the hospitals in their countries for their procedures, while they loot the country blind. So to me, it's something that needs to be handled. But I lament, and I'm saddened by the fact that Africa Stream is under attack. But it's under attack for a good reason, which is because they're actually telling the truth. I still follow them on X, and I try to follow them on. Are they off of TikTok? I don't know if they're off of TikTok because I think I follow them on TikTok as well. But
yeah, they're off TikTok.
Okay, so I still follow on TikTok. But look at what happened with TikTok. TikTok is trying to be banned by the U.S. government too, because they weren't parroting the State Department's point of view. So, but China is taking them to court for what they're doing because they feel like they're trying to infringe on their freedom of speech, and they're trying to force them to sell TikTok to investors who, for some whatever reason, feel as though they'd be more favorable. Never mind that TikTok put so many of the atrocities on display that were going on in Sudan, in Ghana, not Ghana, into Sudan, in Palestine, and all over the world. They put them on display to where you can't hide anymore. Your narrative of what you're doing to the world is not going to be acceptable anymore. So yeah, I think really organizing and really coming up with a consistent plan. I don't think it's a matter of we don't want to. I think it's we underestimate our enemy, which is always a fatal error. I'll leave it there. Thank you.
I appreciate you for that, Black Steel. Yeah, I agree. I think we are underestimating, but the problem I'm having is that how long are we going to keep underestimating these people? You know what I mean? If I'm not mistaken, doesn't China, for example, have their own social media platform? I think TikTok is one of their platforms, right? Like they have their own social media.
It is. But China has a lot more wealth, a lot more organization. Playing the communists, I guess.
I think that's the key. The key is we just got to get organized around these thoughts. We have to look at these things and get to a drawing table somewhere and start organizing our thoughts. How do we get around this? And also we got to be forward thinking too. We got to start thinking ahead. What could they do? Like I said one time on the show before, in the Caribbean, if these people decide not to send them ships, all them folks who down there sitting down waiting for tourists to come is screwed. You better go find something else, right, to drive your economy. You better go find that now, right? As opposed to just waiting on if a ship arrives or not. So we gotta be a little bit more forward thinking. I think in the chat, the matron says they block anything that impacts the consciousness of Africans. Pan-Europeanism is the order of the day. They can take away anything they give you. Trey Happy had a lot to say, but he says here, Black Steel, apparently the owner of African Stream mentioned that TikTok is based in Scandinavia as well as, it's based in Scandinavia as well. So that may be a reason. Again, that's what he said. He said, and then Trigger says China is a state, African Stream, organization at best. Yeah, we understand China is a state. We understand that. That's not the comparison, really. The comparison is, where is our state with power? Where is our state that's been organized to thwart this kind of thing? That's what the conversation really is about. It's not comparing African Stream to China. With that said, let's welcome our boy Anthony McPhail in this week. Anthony, how are you?
Hey, what's going on, my brother? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Can you hear me pretty good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. All right. I want to say this, man. I'm gonna come at this angle right here. It is not against what anybody said, but okay. Let's start with African Stream. Okay, with them brothers there, and I listen at them and all of the great content that they putting out. But okay, but like it's already been mentioned by both of the brothers, by all you brothers. Okay, you broadcasting on their airways. Right now, we on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? This ain't shit. But what I'm saying is this right here. Okay, like we got a brother, we got Dr. Obadale Kambone. He got his own thing. A BB Toomey. And you can say, well, that's it's his independent thing, it's more decentralized, but it's still, you got to go online. I think that we forgetting one of the most important things. Okay, right now, Koku, I got your phone number. You know what I'm saying? One of your phone numbers. I could call you. I did one time, but you didn't get a chance to talk to me. I could call you on the phone, and we could talk about stuff. But besides that, guess what? What we can also do, I'm talking about for us, the black brothers here who live stateside here in America. We ain't got to get on the phone. We ain't got to get on YouTube. We ain't got to get on the internet. You know what we could do to talk about our issues? We could meet. We could all get together and meet. Hey, man, let's meet in New York City. Let's meet in Virginia. Let's meet in wherever we are, whatever convenient. I live in Louisiana. Okay, I got family in Georgia. I go to Georgia sometime and I stay there. I could go up to Virginia where forecast at. I could, that ain't that far. I could drive 250 miles and I can go up to New York City. We can have a meeting. We need to have a meeting there between us and talk face to face. With our brothers like Pan African Stream, excuse me, I'm still suffering this flu flashback. Okay, what our brothers on the cousin nigga do? Okay, you live in Kenya. Let's have y'all brothers have a Pan-African meeting in Kenya. You know what I'm saying? Or y'all brothers have a Pan-African meeting in Addis Ababa. Or y'all have a Pan-African meeting in Ouagadougou. You know what I'm saying? Or in Bamako. Wherever. Y'all come together over there and have a meeting and discuss your business. Because we really don't need to be putting our business out over there anyway. No talking, letting them know everything we talking about. Excuse me. Even I know, like I said, they're doing great content and they try to inform all our people. But we all black people, we always been the people that found another way around the corner to do what we had to do. Okay, the mainstream shut us out. The white folks, these Europeans don't want to let us use their shit. What we did, we snuck in the back door or we went another way. Our people on the continent could talk among themselves, meet at a designated area and talk among themselves to get that message out. And you know what? Okay, let's send somebody over here to the UK and talk to Brother Shakara. Let's send somebody over here to the US and talk to Brother Koku. You know what I'm saying? Let's send some brother over here in other parts of the black world, the diaspora, and talk about this. And we doing it clandestine. We talking among ourselves. We ain't got to let the whole damn world know what we doing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not arguing at nobody, but I'm just saying it's another way beside that. We don't have to depend on these media outlets that they have. They shit. We need to meet. I ain't never seen Koku. I ain't never seen Black Steel. I ain't never seen Buana. I ain't never seen Pro-Black Perspective. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never seen a real black gentleman. One day we got to meet. We got to all meet up and we need to talk. And we just sit down and discuss stuff. Whether y'all gonna come down here because y'all all invited here. I got a nice house. Or we gonna go to Koku's, or we gonna go to Black Steel, or we just gonna find us a place, a hotel, whatever, put our money together and go and meet and talk and discuss our stuff. We ain't got to discuss our stuff in front of the world. YouTube ain't got to hear our shit. We can talk about what we got to talk about together. You know what I'm saying? And our brothers in the Caribbean, in the Central and South America, and Africa, all get together and talk about their stuff together. And you know what? And we can all get a designated meeting place where we can all go and talk and discuss it, whatever, when we got to do our global plan. We ain't got to be on social media. I mean, there's always another way to skin a cat. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, these airways, color line, it's they shit. I mean, if I'm the American government, I'm any colonial imperial government, I'm gonna do the same damn thing. I ain't gonna let you get your shit across. You know what I'm saying? We got to think outside of that. We got to say, hey, look here. Hey, we can't. Matter of fact, we don't want to be dry snitching on our goddamn selves anyway. You know what I'm saying? We need to come together. See, that's the bottom line. We got to stop talking to each other on the phone and on the internet, and we need to meet face to face. I'm always reminded. I know Black Steel probably remember this. It's a picture, it's a photo. This was from 1970. It was after Huey P. Newton there when they was in Algiers. Him and some of that part of the Black Panther Party was in Algiers. They had a big meeting in Tanzania, Dar es Salaam. Look here, they had Brother Imari Obadeli of the Republic of New Africa. They had Robert F. Williams. They had David Sabeko of the PAC. They had a whole bunch of black nationalists. Some from the PAIGC and Guinea-Bissau, all of them. You know what they did? They all met in Dar es Salaam. There was a whole bunch of them. I'm talking about African brothers from America, African brothers from the Caribbean, you know, members of the New Jewel movement, all over the hemisphere. Paulo Camerica Fegu from Bermuda, the Black Beret Cadre. They had all these brothers from the UK, the Black Liberation Front, Black United Front. What they did, they got together. They said they had a clandestine meeting, and they met. It was after the the six-pack conference, and it was around. It was a little bit before that, but they met together, and it was all these brothers from all over the black world met. That's what we get. That's how going back and knowing what we did before and using that. Koku, I want to see you. I want to see Juan. You know what I'm saying? I want to see Oni. I want to see Black Steel. We need to meet together. I want to see Forecast and Bakari and Revolutionary Matron. We need to come together, sit down, and talk face to face, family. That's what we need to do. And I'll leave it there right there.
No disagreements with anything you said there, Anthony. I appreciate that. No disagreements at all. I think there's two things. I personally think two things can be true at the same time. I think when we're talking about strategy, that's definitely a closed door discussion. If we strategizing, I have my part to play, Buana has his, Black Seal has his, that's a closed door conversation. We have an understanding of what parts we got to do, and then we go out into the world and we do it. But I think in the case of African streams, in the case of us too, there's an attempt at kind of countering the propaganda that's out there. And while you can do that, and you should do that in your behind closed doors, there is a part of it that has to be done by, for the masses, so to speak. You have to put out something on a mass level. And so I think what Anthony is saying is true. And that's something we should work on too, as a matter of fact. I know this brother Shaka Zulu always talks about that on Brother Bakari's show. So shout out to Shaka. That's something that we should do. We should be meeting up in person. But we also have to push propaganda too. Positive propaganda, against what's being pushed against us, right? With that said, let me see if Buana's back now. Buana, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Buana, what are you?
No, yeah. So in concern to what Anthony just said, I already didn't have that in the works. My thing is, to invite all your brothers here. That means y'all can meet my backyard. We can make barbecue and all that shit. But I'm not driving y'all all around the Bahamas. So I'll have to leave that with Koku. Koku have to work with the transportation because I'm not taking y'all. No, I'm not doing that. Y'all can have a nice meal. We can have barbecue and shit like that. I'm not taking it. And needless to say, we do need to meet, and it'll be good. I really had plans on seeing if I could to touch bases with Brother Bakari in Atlanta. And if I'm in Atlanta in the South, that means I could easily go to Louisiana. That's no sweat. These kinds of things, but these are individual things. And I think that Anthony is talking as a group, and that is a necessary thing. And that's something that collectively we must work on. No doubt about it. You have to get past the point of having these kinds of dialogues and discussions. But since we're on the show, let's talk about the issues. So, in reference to what these brothers are talking about, I would say that, first of all, one of the things that we need to be aware of is we talk about financial literacy, but there's a technological literacy that we need to really catch up with in the world, especially when we want to be in an information game of sharing information and using these technical devices to educate our people. There's a man named Julian Assange. Julian Assange was a huge threat against the state because he decided to tell the regular, not only American public, but the Western public about the deeds of what was going on in the Middle East, in particular with the American military. and what they was actually doing over there. And and there was a big issue and hoo-ha over him being sent to jail, and the whole idea of freedom of speech and what that actually cost him. You know, this freedom of speech game is you play at very high stakes, especially when you try to inform the Western regular person, man on the street, try to educate him and properly inform him. That's a big, dangerous game that you play. You know, I think that either Anthony or Oni mentioned the fact that the Blinkenship don't want outside forces to pair in and try to educate Black Americans. You know, because that's a protected class when it comes to the outside world, the outside brothers, the Black world, trying to inform the regular Black man on the street and in the streets of America. The American government says that is a protected class. So we don't want y'all to infiltrate with y'all information and tell them certain things of what's going on in the outside world. It's the same idea of when during slavery, when there was the Haitian Revolution. The Haitian Revolution was happening in Haiti. The slave masters didn't want the slaves to know what actually went on in Haiti. They kept that situation very hush-hush. They didn't want that information to spread among the ranks of the slaves within America, because they may be inspired by these kinds of ideas or what was going on outside of America. But it's interesting that the American government decides to protect them in those regards. But in the streets of America, Black Americans are not a protected class, even though they should be, considering that they are only 13% of the population, and they are surrounded by a hostile group of Europeans, very hostile towards them. They should be considered a protected class. So they don't protect them within the borders of the United States, but externally, we want to protect them from the information that gets to them. That's interesting. It's funny. I also want the whoever's listening to look up. There's a brother named, his name is not brother. His name is Edward Snowden. Edward Snowden. He wrote a book called Permanent Record. Anyone who could get their hands on an audio book or book, read that book, Permanent Record. He details how the American government uses information, stifles information, and how the technology around it. That's a very good book to put your hands on. It's called Permanent Record by Edward Snowden. You know, the war for information is something that is very, very important right now in the world right now, and they want the regular man on the street to remain uninformed and extremely ignorant. Why? Because they could be propagandized. The less informed a person is, the less informed or the more ignorant a person is, the more he is able or capable of being propagandized about the world around him. You know, so there's this big brouhaha over information. This brother right now, let me just say, African Streams is actually up on Rumble. It's still up on Rumble. It's still up on Rumble. But now it's these European corporations collectively decided, whether it's TikTok and all these other corporate media houses, decided we're going to collectively take this person out of the sphere of providing information to the world. And they was able to do that. They was practicing pan-Europeanism. Yet on every YouTube stream that we on, you know, we are taught that Pan-Africanism is a bad thing. In fact, Anthony Blinkenship knew that African Stream was a Pan-African website, and it goes against the interests of Pan-Europeanism. So what did they decide to do? They band together and collectively decided to get rid of it. There is an example in that whole strategy. They band together, despite the fact that corporations are taught to compete collectively and on the basis of money and economics. They still band together. They say that this is bad, you know, for the overall scope of architecture of white supremacy and these ideas in the world. You can't go against the notions of pan-Europeanism. You can't tell the truth on our platform, not using our platform. You know, you got to do that somewhere else. So these guys have collectively decided as pan-European corporations to band together and say, not on our platform. And they are right for doing it. They are right for doing it. But we should be able to have a response to that. And as Anthony was saying, meeting and greeting, speaking to people. But when you're playing a global game, how do I talk to a man in the Sudan? How do I talk to a man in Jamaica, even though he shares my views and ideas and thoughts? So we have to be able to exercise technological literacy and look at the Chinese and find out how they are able to infiltrate and pass the information around. Not only the Chinese and the Russians, the Indians. The Indians have been able to corner the market in this technological industry. You can't stifle the information because they are the helm of technological expertise. The West requires a whole lot of Indian labor, to work in as far as technocrats in these corporations. So you can't stifle the information. It'll be very difficult to. They already know how to get around the technological animals. And I think that this is one of the other industries we need to be vested in, not only in the financial, as far as the financial arena, but also in a technological arena, because we are in the battle of ideas. And at the end of the day, what can control the world is who idea gonna win over for the rest of the world. So if the Americans are able to send out their message and set out their ideologies around the world, they will win that game. So everybody could be talking like the FBA and ADOS people in this nativist language. If we don't play the game right, so we gotta.
Wow.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I want to respond. Is it cool, Coco?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, Buana, I want to hear the new voice of the Bahamas. The new voice of the Bahamas broadcast to the Caribbean, broadcast to Jamaica, broadcast to Barbados, to St. Lucia, to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and to all of the Bahamas. The new voice of the Bahamas broadcast, the independent radio station, Pan-Africanist radio station from the Bahamas, from Buana Hagaziki or one of his homeboys, broadcast out of the independent black country to the rest of the Bahamas. You know what? We want another voice, a broadcast, independent broadcast, to broadcast all across Sudan, across Africa and in Sudan. I look at it like this here: if Europeans could do it, we could do it too. You know what I'm saying? Okay, we need an independent radio station.
The funny thing.
Go ahead, bro.
No, the funny thing about that, Anthony, if I was to do that, right, my servers, where you could get the information from my servers, they can't be sitting within the Bahamas. I'm sorry. They have to be sitting outside of the Bahamas. They have to be sitting somewhere like in Russia or China. That's the crazy thing. This is the game we're playing right now. Because if there is a big, what's it called, the United States Embassy? There's a huge United States Embassy that's sitting in downtown Bahamas right now. There also is a Chinese embassy that's sitting here as well. So if I want for you to hear the truth about what's going on in the Bahamas, my servers would not be able to sit inside the Bahamas, or I would even dare say the Caribbean itself. It will have to be somewhere else, because the United States Embassy and maybe the Chinese Embassy would block that shit. You will never hear it.
Okay, check this out, brother. Check this out. Check this out. I'm gonna tell you what his other brother from Jamaica did to go around that. He had his message that he was teaching in Jamaica. They didn't catch on to it too much, but guess what he did? He got on a ship and he sailed to the United States and he spread the message there, and he gained about 4 million members in the United States.
To do that.
And he gained about 11 million members worldwide.
Yeah.
And he did it without airwaves, without all. His name was Marcus Garvey.
Yes. Oh, that's a different. No. Yeah, Marcus Garvey. Yes, I hear that. Anthony.
We going by what we can do. Look what he did without all of it. He didn't have internet or none of that. And look at the movement. And we, all of us, me, you, and Coco, we are all Garveyites, and we follow his teachings.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But it should be noted, Gavi was big in media. Though Gavi was in at the time. His thing was the printed media, like newspapers and stuff like that. So he did do that too, which also helped his message. Which is where like
Yeah, but
the
Coco, what
NOI.
I'm saying though, but Coco, what I'm saying, he had the whole government stacked against him too, but he still did his thing.
No, I'm not
Yes, sir.
denying that.
I hear that.
I'm not denying that. Yeah,
No,
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 we still have to do our thing. But
yes, sir.
I
Yes,
just
sir.
want to say that there is something to mass media as well. But Bottom, finish your thought.
No. Anthony is just giving me the responsibility, and he's reminded me that if Gavi could do it without the resources that we currently have, we need to find a way as well. So I hear that, and I respect that, and I'm working on it. Let me put it like that. I'm working on it, Anthony. I'm working on it.
Does anyone on the panel want to respond to anything another panelist had to say? You guys can go now.
Yeah, I wanted to add. Yeah, the thing about how even though the guys are in Kenya, they're still getting stifled by America. And the thing is that as you pointed out, they're getting stifled on American platforms, right? And that's a part of don't put all your eggs in one basket. But another thing is that China doesn't get stifled by American media. Iran doesn't get stifled by American media. Russia doesn't get stifled by American media. And it's said, the whole claim, and I don't know if it's true or not, but the whole claim is that this guy in particular, or the leader of Africa Stream, had his background in Iran state media, that kind of stuff, right? Now I don't know how true it is, but that's one of the claims. But the point being though is that if it's true, the guy is familiar with state media, and the reality is that African countries have state media. They it's them who are not platforming these people. So as to say that we have the resources, right? But we're not being resourceful. We have the news stations, but we're not trying to tell the news because Iran has it and China has it. And you might say, well, yeah, that's China today. China is one of the biggest economies on the planet right now. Yeah, absolutely. But China had it for even when it wasn't one of the biggest economies on the planet. And one of the things, we mentioned Obadale Cambone. One thing that you'll see about this brother is that he was on on Ghanaian news, like on Ghanaian like TV, as to say that anybody could go on thing. And I've seen like snippets of Kenyan TV, that guy who interviews people where he's like, he's mad adversarial and he's like, are you, you are gay, that kind of stuff. He's on Ugandan, I'm guessing state media. But the point being that, we have those resources, right? Sorry, what did you say?
No, I know the guy you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. We're on the state media, but I mean, we have the state media, we have the resources, but instead of using that, we're and I don't blame the brother for going on the internet because obviously I'm on the internet, everybody here is on the internet, right? But or not just internet, but for going on white platforms because everybody so on and so forth. But the reality is that we as an African people have the means to produce alternatives, just like China did, just like Iran did, just like Russia did. But instead of collectively working together, or even as a nation trying to build something alternative, where our people deep inside of different African countries are really relying on white media the same way, and of course that has its it has its own effect. And so even saying that, in regards to the resources that Africa Stream has, I don't know how much it has per se, But if it had a significant amount of capital, it could also, make a platform. Maybe not as popular or whatever, but it could. And in the same vein, and in the same vein, just as American CIA can invest in, this or that, or so on and so forth, there are tons of African governments that could invest the same. It really upon us to push a message of, or this should at least be the impetus for us to really really try to promote us having our own platforms, of the least, because being censored when you're not even in the country is definitely a kind of loose situation. And as other people point out too, in fact, Obadele Kambon, he has a platform, and he's not, a billionaire or something like that, and he's not a government. So as to say that, it is a very possible and practical thing, but we're not even like we're not even at stage one if this is what's happening. That's all I'm saying.
I guess there's no other thoughts from anyone.
Hey, Coco, would you see is Mika on? I called her. See if she's on.
No, she's not in the backstage yet. Not yet. Okay. Shout out to Brother Bakari, who's out there in the chat. Shout out to KW Dawn 7, who's out there. Shout out to Jose, who's out there. Shout out to Kofi, the Black Critic, who's out there saying, hey, family. Shout out to you guys. Make sure you guys are subscribed to everyone on KWAZ Radio. As we all try to make something happen similar to African Stream in the future as well. Last thought from Trigger Happy, he says, African Stream probably wants to push the information to the masses of people, be it, but I don't think there needs to be a collaboration with a social media platform that is Black to build it for the future. All right. Good discussion.
Coco, one second. African Media Stream. If he, what Ahmed Kabolo, whatever his name is, what he can do is to share his format, his formula in terms of getting eyes to his, or drawing eyes to his platform. Share it with other Pan-Africans. Share it with other Pan-Africans on these kinds of panels and shit. So there'll be so much targets towards the US have to be focused on. You decentralize. We was talking about this last week. Give me your recipe and how you got all the eyes to these platforms, and then it'll be so many different targets. It'll be very difficult for see when you centralize yourself, you make yourself just a one target. But when you decentralize, there'll be so many different people because we'll be sharing our information across these media streams. Then who do you hit? Who do you hit? Who do you hit? Who you target? So I think that you need to the brother need to share his original spicy recipe with the rest of the Pan-African world, and then we could use that recipe to get more eyes and draw it to our platforms as well, to grow our platforms, and then we, what I mean? So that's where I stand with it. I'll leave it there.
I appreciate that too. Thank you for that. Thank you for that discussion. Let's go to Shooter Breeze topic number 2 tonight. But that